and blessings. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Sundays in the Sanctuary. I'm your host, Jovhannah, the spiritual love healer. And this is about just providing you with a little illumination and inspiration for your week ahead. Today's topic is going to be about growth, inspired by my morning walk and tarot journaling today, where I was reflecting on my own growth and just seeking out guidance for like where I am in my soul's journey with just my purpose and just life in general. So that is what we are going to be talking about today. So I've been making videos for quite some time about various topics, whether it's relationships or spirituality, life, parenting, just all of the things, because they're things that I experience in my life. And one of the things that I always am like really big on, or that I focus on a lot, is growth. Growth to me includes personal growth, spiritual, emotional, like holistic. And that also includes physical. So when I look at things holistically, I don't just limit it to like mind and spirit. I also include the body and also money or finances. And so as I was walking to the river this morning, and I'm so excited. So Saturday, I did this spiritual love forecast. It's a weekly love reading. I'll put the link in the bio, but the reading was talking about how, like, as a collective, there's a lot of like reflecting on the past, but excuse me, you're also in the position to move forward. And when you are ready, like, love is coming in, and that you have a secret admirer. So shortly after I filmed that recording, I went out for a walk. I walked to the river and I saw two eagles, which just solidified that a higher level of love is coming in. And so this is also going to tie into this concept of growth, because not only do we want to grow within our individual selves, we also want to grow in our connections with other, whether that is with family, whether it's an intimate relationship, friendships, or just how you're showing up in relationships overall. And so when I'm talking about growth, I don't mean just like, how can I say this? So when I'm talking about growth, I mean, am I embodying, am I living, am I doing the things that I have learned, right? Have I applied the wisdom so that in my day-to-day actions, I'm good? For instance, one of the things that a lot of people have this misconception is that, you know, if you're a spiritual person, then you're not supposed to get mad, or you can't get angry at people. So if you go off, that means like you're unstable, you're not spiritual, you're a fake, you're a phony, whatever. And that's not true, right? We all have our threshold of what we're going to accept, right? What type of behaviors we're going to accept in our life. And you absolutely have the right to defend yourself. And that was something that I always used to grapple with, is that, like, if I would get upset, if I would yell at somebody or cuss at somebody after they have repeatedly like poked the bear, then I would feel bad and be like, oh man, like I'm not, you know, I could have handled that differently, la 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 la. In those moments, even though maybe you did not react or respond the way that you think that you should, and I love, there was this post I saw on Instagram that says spirituality does not have like a dress code, or basically I don't know exactly remember exactly what it said, but basically the gist of the post is that everyone's spirituality looks differently. So just because you are dressed a particular way, or you're not wearing crystals, or you are wearing crystals, or you use certain words, that doesn't mean that you are or are not spiritual. There's no guidebook or Bible that says these things are what spirituality or spiritual people look like. And so there's this element of like wrestling with that. Like, who am I in my beliefs as a mother, as a woman, as a spiritual healer, as a spiritual individual, as a soul in this lifetime? What does that look like for me? And how can am I being that? So to me, like, growth is being the thing that you want. and it's learning from the past mistakes. So like I was saying before, like if you're upset and maybe you had a quick temper with somebody and you're like, dang, I could have handled that a lot differently. The next time you're in a heated situation, you might be a little more tempered. You might decide like, you know what, I'm going to just take a moment and walk away because I don't want myself to get to that level of anger. So you learned from that mistake or that situation. Let's not call it a mistake. You learned from that situation, and then you were able to apply that knowledge in a different situation. So that is growth, right? So another aspect of growth is really honoring the fact that sometimes we're so busy, like trying to do all the things, trying to grow, trying to read all the books, trying to watch all the Instagram lives, trying to do all the things, or gain all the information that we need, that we think is gonna, that's gonna help us grow, that we miss out on the fact that we're growing. So ways to do that is like reflecting, journaling. And I spent, like last night, I could not sleep. And so I spent a lot of time journaling, and I was talking about, my own growth. Like, where am I? Who do I want to be? Am I being those things? And I know that I can also be hard on myself sometimes. So like really just stepping back and looking at how am I embodying what the spiritual love healer represents, not only in my work, but in all areas of my life. And so I really sat and reflected and thought about what would make me feel more in alignment with that. And for me, it's really about devotion to certain practices and rituals. So what changes do I need to make in order to see that growth come about? And also giving myself space and grace because of the transitions that I've been going through. I've been in school, I've been studying, I've been beginning a new career, I've been transitioning out of relationships and stepping more into myself. But I can also look back at 3 months ago at the beginning of the year and see all the ways in which I have grown. And then I can also see the ways in which I have stepped away from certain things or have not shown up in the way that I have wanted to. And just really giving myself a lot of love and tenderness in those aspects where I don't feel that I'm fully showing up, or where I don't feel that I've truly anchored into what growth, right? What that looks like for me. And so again, your evolution, your journey is going to be completely different from mine because it's going to be based on what you desire, right? And that's what I call living abundantly ever after. So I have a very clear image and idea of who I want to be, what I would like to achieve, what I want to experience. And so that's my barometer. However, I also wanted to share that like change takes time, and it also requires a bit of discipline and long-term commitment, which is one of the things that came up in my reading this morning. And I wish I had the cards. I'm going to do another video where I'm talking about the herb crafters tarot that I have been working with, and like absolutely have fallen in love with this deck because it is so beautiful and just a powerful, powerful way for me to connect with the Great Mother. So I'm really grateful about that. And sometimes too, like you can feel stagnant when you're doing things that are not aligned for you, right? So like I've always been very big on prayer, and my relationship with prayer has changed over the past few years. I was trying to figure out where my prayers needed to land. And so going through Devoted Energy Coaching School and becoming an apprentice, I was greeted with a different energy working with Sora. And it felt very tender and very loving, and it was palpable and something that I could truly envision. And that is honoring the Great Mother as the omniscient energy of all that is. And that to me feels very nourishing. So when I am praying, I know that those prayers are landing. I know that they're being heard. So who are you, devoting yourself to? Where are you seeding your intentions? What prayers are you praying? And make sure that the things that you're doing are in alignment for you. I've done I won't say an overhaul, because much of the practices that I do now are ones that I still continue to do. But one of the main things that has come up a lot is really sourcing our own wisdom. So there's a lot of information, and a lot of it is great information. There's also some not so great information, and it can be hard to tell the difference. There are some genuine spiritual practitioners, healers, tarot readers, coaches, helpers in the world. There's some beautiful earth angel helpers who are here to truly like uplift people and share wisdom. And then there are people who have caught on to the wave because it's lucrative, because it is very I don't want to say it's very easy, but you can create a following around whatever. And so, really using your discernment. And I notice a lot of times, which is part of the reason why I stopped doing collective readings for zodiac signs in particular, because instead of sourcing themselves, people were like going within for the information, connecting to source, praying, meditating. People were hungry, looking for answers outside of themselves. And as a tarot reader, I read for myself. I also have read professionally. One of the things I think that's really important is to know that the cards are a tool. Like, they're not the end all be all. So when I use cards, it helps me to communicate. I use them because I like them. I don't have to, because oftentimes, I can still receive intuitive messages, whether it's through journaling or just when I'm just out and about in nature, or meditating, praying, asking for information, or just being still and listening. And so the cards are a beautiful tool. I love art, so it's a way too for me to integrate more art into my life. But, it should not become a crutch. And I think that, we have found lots of crutches that are disabling or preventing you from listening to your own inner guidance, listening to your own intuition, listening to your own higher soul self, listening to what message the Great Mother, the divine, has for you. And so when you're not connected to your own self, or when you don't feel that you can find the answers or solve the problem, and you're looking outside yourself, that can also stunt your growth, because you have no measuring tool, because you're no longer the standard. It's someone else's idea for you. And that can get us screwed up in so many ways, whether you are wanting to start a business, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to start a podcast or start your own YouTube channel. If you think that it has to be like this person's, or it needs to look like a certain thing, or it has to be like perfectly polished, that can prevent you from stepping into your own purpose, because you're worried about what someone else thinks, or you want to feel a pair of shoes that were not meant for you. Everybody's path is completely different. And the more that I have been able to like disconnect, even last night while I couldn't sleep, I was like, I need to, it's the fall season. It's like, I like to call it fallback season. It's cutoff season, when it's time for me to step away from things that don't fit, that no longer serve me. And so I went through my social media accounts. My Facebook is pretty clean. Like, I don't really add people unless like I know them. And I don't post much on my personal Facebook anymore anyways. And then I'm still like on the fence about, do I really want to open up my Facebook business pages? Do I need them? So I'm kind of going back and forth a little bit with the energy of Facebook. However, I went through my friends list. I went through the pages that I was following, and I was like, does this bring me value? Like, how does interacting with this page make me feel? If it wasn't something that I wanted to be connected to, I unfollowed. It doesn't mean that I don't like the people or the pages or anything like that. It just means I need to clear my space. And, on Instagram in particular, that was like my favorite place. But it's like, I don't see any content from the people that I follow. And I'm like, why? So I went on Instagram. I went through my list of people that I was following, and I unfollowed people. And I'm like, do I engage with this account? Does this account make me feel good? So I'm really just overhauling everything. I want to make sure that the people that I'm following are people that I actually connect with, and that the pages that I'm following, that they actually feed me, or that they stimulate my abundantly ever after, right? My vision for myself in some way. That's part of my growth plan. I don't want to follow stuff just to follow it. Like, I don't want to follow a lot of brands just because it's cool. There are like a few like celebrities that I follow because I genuinely like them, right? So I wanted to make sure that I was connecting with and also seeing things of value to me. So there's a following tab on Instagram, which I feel is so unnecessary, because why not just show me what I followed and stop showing me all this other suggested and sponsored content? But that's a whole another can of worms, which is why you see me more here on YouTube. It just feels natural to me to be here. And I like video. So anyway, so I went and I also added people to my favorites list. So these are people that are part of communities that I enjoy. These are people that I want to see their content and I want to be able to engage with it. So I'm hoping that will bring a little more harmony to that platform. So we will see how that goes. But again, it's all about, little things like that display growth. It can be something as simple as like getting up when your alarm goes off. That's also growth. If you're doing something now that you used to not do, or that used to be a struggle for you to do, that's helping you in some way, that too is growth. So really, I would really recommend just pausing, taking time to reflect on the changes that you've made, on who you used to be, where you are now, and where you are going, without from a place of surrender, right? Like, this is just what is. And when we can look at it like, okay, I surrendered to having to subscribe to a certain concept or a certain mentality. Like for me, I used to feel really bad because like there was the 5 a.m. morning or whatever. It's like, successful people, they get up before the sun, and by 7 o'clock, they've conquered the world. I'm not a morning person. I can get up. I usually naturally arise with the sun, but and I used to beat myself up about that. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm not waking up early enough. That means, that's not natural to me. So when I release the notion of that I can only be successful if I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Some mornings I do wake up at 5 a.m. just because I've gotten enough rest, and that's the time that my body is like, let's get up, and then I'm up. But in general, no, that's not a natural waking time for me. So when I release the notion that I had to wake up at this time in order to be successful, in order to achieve my goals, that took a lot of stress off of me. And now when I wake up, I still have the time and space to do the things that are important to me. For me, that's growth. Acknowledging what does not work for you and choosing something that does is absolutely growth. Everyone is not a morning person. Some people thrive in the evening. Some people thrive in the afternoon. Like, you have to know yourself in order to determine like where you're growing and how you're growing. And I think that's a very, very beautiful aspect. I've had to develop that aspect of deep self-reflection and self-awareness because I didn't always have people around me who would like say, oh my gosh, you're doing great. Like, I see you, like you have grown so much, you've changed. Unfortunately, I've been around a lot of toxic and unhealthy relationship dynamics. So if I didn't develop this sense of myself, that would be super problematic for me as a person, for my mental health, for my emotional health, and all the things. So growth. Growth is realizing when you need help and asking for it. Growth is realizing that you don't have to subscribe to every idea or every channel or every thought or everything that someone else does. Growth is knowing that you are wise within yourself. And this year was the year of the lovers, right? The lovers is about you aligning your divine feminine, your divine masculine energy. It's about coming to a place of wholeness within yourself. And you can only do that when you greet yourself, all the aspects, the shadow sides, the beautiful parts, the things that you want to hide, like all of the different elements of you. That too is growth. I can look back on my past and be like, did some fucked up shit. Went through a lot of fucked up shit. But that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be an anchor that weighs me down, that I have to carry this bag of past mistakes, past failures, past worries with me any longer. And even in the moments where I do feel like a little tenderness, where like I'm, grieving over something or hurting over something, I have a plethora of tools that I can work with. Right now I have been, this is one of my favorite, this is the Forgive essential oil by doTERRA. It smells like a forest, has a lot of woodsy scents to it. And it's beautiful for releasing negative emotions, releasing anger, guilt, frustration. So have some, situations where I've noticed like my energy has just been off. And so I woke up one day and I smelled this. And so I was like, let me go get this. And I just started using it. I put it on different reflexology points on my hands, my ears, my feet, and I always place it like over my heart. And it's just been a beautiful addition. So it's like, that's growth. Rather than me sitting with the discomfort or feeling like, oh my gosh, let me just lay here and lament over this and keep thinking over this. Like, no, I'm going to listen to my intuition that sent me this scent for this particular blend. And I was like, okay, I need to use this. And I began using it and also praying. I write in my prayer journal. There's so many things that I do now and that I have been doing that have helped me to grow. Like even my prayers have evolved from, like I said, from the start of this year, just everything. Growth is about you versus you. It's never about competing with anyone else. And sometimes it's not even about competing with yourself. It's just about seeing opportunities for evolution in your own life. And when a challenge does come your way, you are able to say, okay, this is a chance for me to grow now. Instead of like stressing over it, focusing on a problem, you could say, okay, let me get creative. In what way can I solve this? And if I can't solve it, and if I can't solve it, what resources can I bring in? So that was my little spiel on growth. Yeah, I'm not going to do that right now. I don't know. I am going to start doing healing circles again. Actually, no, not right now. I'm going to wait until some other things happen. So I'm going to wait on that. But I really am looking forward to doing healing circles because I miss doing them. Looking forward to doing some live healing circles. So I'm just going to ask for a bit of guidance for the collective on growth, on how they can see more growth in their life. I miss my reading table. I cannot wait. That's one of the biggest things that I am looking forward to, which is moving. So before I start trying to do a whole lot of stuff right now, I'm just going to wait until that happens so that I can have everything the way that I want it and just be in my own sanctuary. So message for growth is, again, walking away from the things that no longer serve you, right? Recognizing that you are free. As beautiful as that gate is, that can be like self-imposed limitations, that can be habits that keep you stuck. And it's like, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore. I can look back at where I was and see that that didn't work, and I'm walking away towards the light. So growth is about moving away from things that don't serve you, that make you feel low, that make you feel stuck, that make you feel stagnant, that just do not feel good to you. And it's funny because I was looking down here and saw a pair of scissors in the gate. And it doesn't always have to look like horrible things either. Do you see how beautiful that gate is? It's pearl and gold. They can be pretty prisons that you're not even aware of that exist because you're so used to them. So these could be bad habits, or it could be, oversleeping or not going to bed early enough at night to wake up on time to do all the things you need to do in the morning. And it could seem so, just something so simple, something so small. But growth doesn't have to always be these huge, monumentous changes. It can be just one small shift, getting up with the first alarm, making sure you drink water first thing in the morning, drinking tea at night to help you relax so that you can rest. And then once you walk away, you get to bask in the glory that is you. So then we have the sun card. Growth is not always about like painful, challenging, soul crushing things. It can be a beautiful process when you look at it from a different perspective. So like you can see this butterfly here that's illuminated. There are two butterflies there. I feel like the way that spirit or the divine looks at growth is like opportunities of elevation. Whereas we look at them like kicking and screaming, like, oh my God, I gotta change. Like everything's always changing. If we look at it as a beautiful opportunity, even when a relationship ends, right? So you find out somebody was like horrible, or the relationship just didn't work and it ended. Maybe it ended amicably, maybe it didn't. But instead of being like, oh my God, it's over, I'm never going to find love again, like this person broke my heart, my life is so empty, you can say like, wow, now I have space for more love. Now I get the opportunity to meet other people. I'm grateful that I saw this person was not the right match for me. I'm glad I didn't marry this person. I'm glad I didn't spend a year, 3 years, 6 months, however long, getting to know this person, getting even more attached. I'm so grateful that this came to light. So now that I get to move forward, when you look at it as an opportunity, it completely changes the dynamic. And you get to walk away from this. Well, maybe this was pretty, but maybe this is where you want to be, in a cup that runneth over, being washed over with love, with just positive energy, beautiful blessings, and light just shining down all around you. So there's a baby here, there's a bird, there's a fish, there's a book, there are paintbrushes, there's music, there's beautiful lotus blossoms there, which is really, really a sacred symbol to me of growth. They start out in the bottom of a dark, murky pond and they grow towards the light. And that is something that's really beautiful to me. And that's what I think of when I think of growth. Like you might be at the bottom, you might be in the thick of it, but you can always, always rise towards the light. My mantra was, life is about positive forward movement. That is what got me through so many things. I would be like, okay, is this positive and is it going to move me forward? If it was not, I was not with it. Life is all about positive forward movement. And that to me was the easiest way to create growth in my life. So when I, stop before like doing something, that was the thing that I was able, those words were able to help me measure and determine what was in alignment for me, what things I could give my energy and attention to, and what things I needed to release and let go of. So maybe you want to find your own mantra, your own sacred symbol, your own way of pausing in the midst of, so that you can reflect and determine how you want to move forward from something without going into overdrive or worry, having a lot of anxious or fearful feelings come up. What if you were able to pause and look at any obstacles, challenges as opportunities to help you grow and evolve, and know that even as you are doing so, that you are always surrounded by spirits, you're surrounded by your ancestors. The divine is right there with you and within you. And if you take a moment to source your own internal spiritual support system, you would be just fine, I promise. All right, beautifuls, thank you for tuning in with me, and I hope that you have a beautiful week ahead. Look for opportunities to grow in your life, and maybe take a moment to journal in what areas of my life could change, growth, or transformation help me to live abundantly ever after. I will see you next week. Peace.